Good morning, happy people. I hope you guys are all doing good. My name is Sika, and it's that time of the morning to have a fantastic conversation. I hope that you guys are all doing good and that there's quite a few people that are here this afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it happens to be where you are, and you're ready for us to have a chat. Good morning. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to keep this brief. Um, I'm hoping that I'd have a couple people jump on so that we can have this chat and get on with it. Good morning, Sheila. Good morning, Princess Sheila. Good morning. I hope you're doing well, sweetie. Who else is here? Let's see. Someone say good morning so I know that you guys can hear me and we can get started. Um, okay, I want to see love hearts. You guys know how we roll. Let's get it done and let's get cracking. Good morning. Let's see if I've got any love hearts yet. You guys are super awesome. You guys really, truly are. I am honored to have every single one of you. Pablo, good morning. Abiba, good morning. Everyone, good morning. I hope you guys are good. Growing up as a child, um, back in Ghana, in an establishment where there was a lot of professionals, right? Ikuba, good morning. How are you, sweetie? There was a lot of professionals where I grew up, right? And it was in a university campus's setting. So you can imagine there was a lot of talent, a lot of people that were academically inclined. There was a lot of talent in terms of the minds, the brains to do big and mighty things around me where I grew up. I thank God for that because it meant that being academically successful was not an option, if you know what I mean. You didn't have a choice in the matter when you were surrounded by people who were pushing boundaries and doing big things with themselves. And I was especially motivated by seeing women doing big things in medicine, engineering, all kinds of things that I wanted to be one of them. It's probably why I ended up doing civil engineering. There weren't many women. In a class of 2000 of civil engineers, I think there's probably about 14 or so girls. I'm sure that has probably doubled, tripled, or quadrupled now. But I was just, at that time, there was very few of us girls and a lot more men. I digress. That's not what I'm here to talk about this morning. But what I'm saying is that in that environment, there was a lot of people, right? Surrounded by them. We lived with them, went to school with them, knew their parents, all of that. A lot of talent on the university campuses. And it was very self sufficient. It had everything from nursery school to primary school, secondary school, university. It was all there. You didn't have to get out of that environment, the four walls of that university. You didn't have to step out of that because everything you needed was right there on that huge plot of land, from churches to banks to supermarkets, hospital, everything you needed. We had swimming pool, farms, a cemetery. We had everything. Self sufficient, right? And that was the environment that I was fortunate enough, thanks to my dad, to grow up in. I saw a lot of things, a lot of very good things and positive things. But one thing that really made a huge impression on me, and one thing that has made such an impression that I wake up every morning praying and hoping to God that that is never me. And that is what I want to share with you guys. We live in or come from a place or community or culture where it is I don't know whether to say our obligation or whatever, to help other people. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Yes, if you've come into money or you're in a position to offer help and assistance to people, then it only makes sense that you do. Nobody is an island. I am not an island. I am who I am today because of my parents and the huge sacrifices that they were prepared to make on my behalf. They are poor today because of me and my siblings. If they spent their money that they had, invested that in themselves, gosh, they would have mansions. But I am who I am today because two people were prepared to lay down their lives and everything that they had to make me a better person. So everything that you see, I owe to those two people predominantly, fundamentally, because when all is said and done, it's always been the two of them. That is the gospel truth. And that is why I talk about them. I'm saying all of this to come to this point that I saw a lot of professionals that maybe in their family, they were the only ones that are able to make it to the university, to even be a professor, a lecturer, whatever, was such a huge thing because there were few people where they came from that have been able to attain that height or have that recognition where they were. And it was good. Some people even went to the extent of bringing nephews and nieces and cousins and brothers and sisters to all come live in that house with them. All good. But some people did all of that to the detriment of their own family, like their own children, right? There's certain cultures and tribes back where we come from where they're very either patrilineal or very matrilineal. And in the matrilineal system, it's like if you're the man of the house, it's your responsibility to look after your sister's children, as if your sister never had a husband or somebody that he made their children with. And they invested a lot of what they had in that. There were other people who, because of the position that they had, the prestigious position that they had, being a lecturer or professor in a university, back in their towns and villages, they had been made the chief of development where they came from. And so they were always trooping back and forth to their village to help with some development or put into something that in real life and in reality, they couldn't afford that. Going to every funeral you can think about, making a donation for everything that they could you can think about to their own detriment, right? In this life, guys, in this life, it is good to have money. At the end of the month, you're paid a wage, whatever that happens to be. A lot of people think that if you work hard and at the end of the month you get 2,000 naira, 2,000 Ghana cedis, $2,000, then all of that $2,000 is for you to spend right now, right? So a lot of us are living either from paycheck to paycheck or actually beyond our means because of all these other extra responsibilities that we've taken upon ourselves or have been imposed upon us. And I'm not saying any of these things are bad things, but I'm saying that at the end of the day, from what I have seen and the position that I am in right now, I have come to find that you can't help somebody else when you haven't sorted out your own self first. I know that this is a principle that is unpopular with us as African people, because a lot of people will read into that selfishness, you're mean, you don't want to provide for anybody else, somebody else helped you to get to where you are. But the fact is that if you really truly want to have an impactful life where you're actually able to have the means to change somebody's life, you have to be on a good standing yourself. It's like standing at the edge of a pool or the sea or a river and trying to pull somebody who's drowning out. If you're not positioned properly, if your own foundation is shaky, if you're not standing right, in that act of trying to drag somebody else out of that water, you yourself risk toppling over and landing off and both of you drowning. What is the point of all of that? Right? And so I grew up around people that were busy trying to fix other people's lives to their own detriment. These were people that were, as I said, the chiefs of development, where they came from. But yet their children were being beaten up in school because they hadn't paid their school fees. Your father says he doesn't have money to pay your school fees. Your mom doesn't have money to help pay your school fees. And yet they are the ones giving the biggest tithe and offerings just for recognition. Just that people will think that, oh yes, these are people, they have arrived and they have this, that, and the other, to their own detriment. It gets worse. A lot of people that I saw growing up as uncles and aunties and people that were like parent type figures on that campuses that I saw, forgot that living in the campuses with provided accommodation and all the perks that comes with your position as a professional is not forever. You come in and you're 35 and they give you this bungalow and it's 3-4 bedrooms big and you have a garage, you have a house, you have, kitchen, you have all of these things and it's nice. But a lot of the people I saw growing up forgot that this is maybe for 30 years. One day, just as you walked in, you'll be walking out. This house that you're calling your own today is a house that somebody else has also lived in and retired and left. And that position has now become vacant for you to now be able to occupy that place. I lived on an university campuses. We lived at number 1B, Alote Konwa Estate. If you go to that place right now, there's somebody else living in a house that I moved into when I was just barely 6 years old and lived until I was way into my 20s. And there's somebody else living in that house. We had moved in the early 80s, mid 80s. All of my sisters were born in that house. A lot of memories in that house. I got married in that house. Went to baptism, confirmation, name it. I graduated in that house. Yes, second class honors in all my, I did all of that in that house. My sisters were born, went for their christening. Yes. Went into womanhood, all in that house. We went to secondary school in that house. But today, we've also had to make that journey and move out of that place. Because just like other people, my dad also retired. And now there's some other young lecturer who is occupying that place that we used to live in. My sisters and I still go there and say, this is our house. We grew up there. It was a building. We enjoyed it whilst it lasted. But we're gone. Our tenure is done. Our time of feeling happy and getting comfortable and being all of that is done. Somebody else is living there now. The thing that I saw was that a lot of people felt that this is a place that they were going to be forever. They forgot that there was a time frame for living in that place. And so no plans were being made to find alternative accommodation and a place to put your head after all is said and done. When the system has taken the best 30 years of your life, where are you going? Nobody or few people thought about that. Some people, when they hit 55, it suddenly dawned on them that, 60 is around the corner. So they bought a piece of land. Yeah, they bought a piece of land and, it will somehow build itself. And they were still living that lifestyle, still going for every funeral you can think about in the village, still doing things and living beyond their means and forgetting that pension always comes to the best of us. Isn't that the same today? I'm here. 20 years ago, I had come out of university with a degree. I was super excited. I never thought that 40 would ever come to me. Like 40 was just that thing, that age that was far away from me and never going to knock on my door. Today, I'm 41 and gray. I can feel it in the core of my being that I'm not in my 20s anymore. And even if my brain says I'm 20, my body is telling me something different. In another 20 short years from now, just like I managed to get from my 20s to my 40s, I'm going to be in my 60s. What am I going to do? Where am I going to lay my head? What am I going to feed myself with? Nobody or few people like to hear about retiring and pensions and your future and all of that. Oh, life is for the living now. You know, life is short. We never know the number of our days, and it's where we can die tomorrow. That is true. But all the people that used to say that when I was growing up and not making anything of themselves, making sure that they were securing something for their future, all of those people are still here. Not one of them died living that kind of lifestyle. They are all still here, old men. But a lot of them now have nothing. I saw people walking around begging the students that they taught to finish their houses for them. It was either that or they were going to see their professor living in an uncompleted building with no windows. Some of them, no roof. Very few people. Kwame, how are you, darling? I hope you're good. William, Sister Gifty, I salute all of you. I saw that growing up. I saw that growing up. Same thing in all these secondary schools in Ghana. I'm sure in Nigeria too, which had senior house mistress, headmistress, assistant headmistress, and all of those things. Most of the teachers in the secondary schools all had accommodation provided for as a teacher, serving in the school and being there. Very few people realize that that situation ain't permanent. Just like you were able to move in, there will also come a time when you have to move out. And when you move out, somebody else who is younger than you, when the same time that you got there at that age, somebody else will also be occupying that very same place. We forget that. We do. And so we're living this life and thinking that tomorrow is never going to happen. And we're doing all these things and forgetting that that time does come to all of us. I'm just here this morning. I don't know. I felt this very strongly waking up this morning to remind all of us. I don't care how young you are. You never stay young. You don't stay the same. Once you're born, going all the way to your grave is something that is guaranteed. Whether you like it or not, it's happening. So you better wake up and smell the coffee because it's coming to the best of us. And I'm not here to put a downer on things. I'm just here to be real because this is life. You can choose to do it hard. You can choose to do it easy, but it is happening, whether you like it or not. Pension can be the most enjoyable experience. You can be a lady or guy or man of leisure and have the best time of your life if you start planning for it early. And I'm saying this and speaking to my own self as I'm saying this to you guys too, that just as I managed to get from my 20s into my 40s, my 60s is just around the corner. We started this year, January 1st. I can still remember it because it was the day after my birthday. So I never forget the 1st of January. And we're already getting ready to kiss June, middle of the year already. Time is flying. Like You blink your eye and the year is finished and we're into another one. Life is just passing you by like you're turning a page of a reading book, a novel. Life is passing us by like that. What are you doing? And guys, it doesn't even have to be anything that you can't afford. Like, people think that planning for later life is some huge thing that you have to do. But cut your coat according to your size. Remember that, in this life, if you're a parent, for example, and this is another example I'll give here, if you've chosen to be a parent, that it is not just a rite of passage that a lot of us have done. A lot of people have had children. When you ask them why they had the children, they cannot give you no convincing answer as to why they've had children. For a lot of them, they just felt, I just finished school and I got married and everybody expected that having a child is the next thing. Now you've had the children. You can't wish them away. They're here. How much are you investing in your children? My parents sacrificed everything. Parenting is a sacrificial job. If you're not prepared to sacrifice, you have no business having children. That is the gospel truth. And parenting is not a vocation that ever ends, because I'm in my 40s and I still bug my parents in their 70s. Even if it's not for financial things, it's for other things, emotional support, whatever. Like, parenting never finishes. So if you're just into parenting just for the heck of it, you've lost the plot. It has to be something that you're actually devoted and committed to do it right. And so when I'm talking about retiring and planning for your future, that is a huge key to you being able to retire in peace. Because I don't think that you'll be happy riding your Ferrari into the sunset when you have kids that are on crack cocaine, that got pregnant in their teenage years and have had a bunch of kids and haven't amassed to anything in this life. How do you retire? Those same children can now plan to come to that house that you want to live in and be happy, and shoot you dead and take everything that you own to feed their bad habit. And so if you're watching me today and you've got young children and you're struggling and you can't make ends meet and you're thinking that, oh, I have to take the things that kids need to become good adults that are self-sufficient away from them. You don't want to invest anything beyond the free education that is being provided for them by the state or whatever where you live. You are not ready to be a parent, and you are not securing your future peace of mind, right? My parents can retire into the sunset now because even if we're not able to give to our parents, at least we're self-sufficient, right? They've got 4 daughters that are all doing their own thing. I trained as a civil engineer and urban planning, and now I'm doing something that is kind of like money and finance related, right? They've got a lawyer, they've got a lecturer, they've got a doctor, they've got someone who's in the army who wants to do nursing, she's done health, like they've got everything. And they're all living their lives, all of them. So my parents can retire into the sunset and forget about us, because no matter how bad things are, at least we have the means to put our hands in the plate into our mouth, and they don't have to provide for us in their old age. We are making strides for ourselves, right? That is one very important key thing. Some people forgot that. Some people deprive their own children what they truly deserve, their inheritance as parents, because your children never asked you to have them. They never asked to be born. You went do your own thing and now you've got them. Well, provide for them. Because if you don't, you can't retire and have peace of mind. You cannot. You can't do it. You always come back home with problems and mess things up for you. So that is one of the things that if you want to retire and have your peace of mind as a person, that is one of the things that you prioritize. My parents are poor today, not because they just provided basic education for us. No. Do you know how much extra classes and tuition I had? Do you know how much my parents paid just to have extra classes and extra everything? We had extra whatever we needed. The backyard of our house was like teachers were just coming back and forth for one person or the other, or all of us. When you needed help with one thing or another, they were there. My mom would sell her clothes if she had to, just to make sure that her girls had. And they were, financially sound and on standing on their own 2 feet. It's why I'm here today. Extra tuition, extra classes. Oh boy. Oh, we have to go to this field trip and we have to buy this chemistry book and we have to buy this drawing board and this ruler and it costs 400. They don't even think about it. Everything and anything to make sure that we had. They will sit in their old jalopy cars that we sometimes had to push down the hill so we could spark, just to make sure that at least our education we got. Because all we have is this. This thing can never be taken away from you. It is the biggest asset, right? So if you have nothing to give to your children and your descendants, give them knowledge. And it's not just necessarily education, because not all of us are going to be doctors, lawyers, and people like professionals like that. Some people are artisans. We all have different talents, but whatever your child's talent happens to be, invest in that talent and make sure they're the best or amongst the best in whatever it is that they want to do, or whatever skill, whatever talent that they've been given. That is one sure way of ensuring that you can go to sleep at night in your old age and not have to worry about anything. The other thing, guys, is that in your old age, you will still have to sleep somewhere. I don't care how small it is. There is nothing like owning your own something, your own place. You might be living abroad today and you can't even afford to pay your own mortgage. You can't even perceive the idea of having anything anywhere else, having another property. You can't afford it. I get that. But at least if you have a house where you live, like if I have a house here and I can't afford now to put anything up where I want to retire, which is back in Ghana one day, at least I have an asset here. So when the time comes and I don't want to be here anymore, at least I can sell that asset and take that money and go home, buy something back there. It might just be able to buy me a plot of land in my village. At least I can put some 2 structures in there. One will be the kitchen. The other will be my bedroom and toilet inside, self-contained. I have a place to lay my head at night. So think about these things far and hard and wide when you're making decisions about your life. Because one day you pay a price for it. One thing that scares the hell out of me is to be 60 or 65 or whatever it is I'm supposed to be retiring. I cannot remember, but I know I have a good 25 years of working life ahead of me and not be able to buy common kinky for myself with all the trimmings that I want to eat one day. That is what scares the hell out of me. That if I want fried fish, if I want fried prawns and shrimps and adode and all of these fancy things that I want to have, that I can't afford to have that because I ain't got no money. That is what wakes me up at night, because then I don't even have the strength to go out there and work hard to make no more money. I'm in my 60s. I'm tired. So, guys, yes, make hay whilst the sun shines. Live, of course, live. But whilst you're doing all of that, even if it's 10% of your wage monthly that you've got stashed away as your retirement pot one day, do you know how much 200 Ghana cedis a month times 12 months times 30 years? Do you know how much money that is? Do you? And if you've got the right education to know where to put that money, it is compounding in interest and would ensure that you can buy all the kinky and fish that you want and tick off all those things from your bucket list that you wanted to achieve one day. Anyone can be a mother, but parenting is a whole different thing altogether. Whether you've given birth before or not, it is such a difficult task. And when I talk about motherhood and parenting, I ain't just talking about kids that have come out of your down below. No, as a woman. No. I don't have any. I probably won't. I don't know. But at this point in time, I don't. But the fact that I don't have kids that are biologically mine doesn't mean I don't have children in my life. I do. If I see my sister's children not amounting to anything in this life, how can I be happy? He's still my niece or my nephew. People are still going to make reference to me when they talk about them. If I'm seeing someone who's got children and those kids grew up around me and they don't amount to anything, whose name are they going to call one day? They grew up around me, right? Sadly, a lot of people don't think past that knowledge you're sharing here today, Sister Shika. Well, that is just sad, but it's happening. It's coming to all of us, whether you like it or not. It's coming. Retirement, pension, it's coming whether you like it or not, guys. So this is the time. You might be in your 40s and listening to me and you've never even thought about putting nothing aside for nothing. Time is not on your side. Honestly, it's not. You know, you spend frivolously on things that don't even matter. You're busy buying clothes for everything so that people won't say that Sister Jo Mensa is always wearing the same t-shirt. Who gives a monkeys about it? Is the shirt dirty? No. Is it torn? No. So if I'm wearing the same clothes, so bloody what? Right? Why should it matter that I want to please people by buying things that I can't afford when I have nothing saved up for a rainy day? It does not make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. So I don't care how small it is. Even 10 Ghana cedis a month saved away somewhere. It's 120 Ghana cedis a year you would have not had if you don't make this conscious decision now to start saving. And these are conversations that and things that we were never taught growing up. Never. You have to grow up yourself and find things out for yourself. And by that time, for a lot of us, it's too late. These are conversations that people don't enjoy. I really well on the live video, there's only about 19 of us watching this. But if we were talking about gossip and banter and people fighting, there'll be hundreds of you watching. Those conversations are what gets our juices going. But the things about education, knowledge that are going to transform our lives, people can be bored. Well, boring, mundane conversation. Ain't interested. Not interested. How many of you watching this video have even bothered to share the video? Because it's not a conversation that you think people are interested in hearing. But I'm telling you guys that I have been put in a position now where I see I have the ability to see people's lives. It is sad, guys. And I've also had the opportunity to see people who have put things in place from back in the day. You should see what they've been able to achieve. Sit with your partner if you haven't done so already and have that conversation. You really need to. What are we doing? What is the next 10, 15, 20 years of our lives going to be like? Right? What is it going to be like? If the foundations are wrong, everything is wrong. I have lived out here and I wish I was out here 25 years ago because there's so much that would have been so different in my life. I've learned it late. I'm trying to pick up the pieces of my life late. But sure as hell making sure that my nieces and nephews, anybody who will listen around me, doesn't make that same mistake. I was having this conversation with my sister a couple days ago, and she said to me that knowing what she knows now, she's going to make sure that by the time her kids are in their early, mid to late teens, they're making their own money. They have to learn that discipline of working hard for what you want. These are all things that people are sat in Ghana, teenagers sat in Ghana. What do? You go to school, you come on holidays, you gallivant around, do nothing, don't respect or have any sense of gratitude for what your parents do for you, the sacrifices they make for you. Because there's no holiday job, nothing for you to know that it is hard work that pays. And I thank God that I'm in a place that they teach young people these things from young. So the people that are growing up in the West know that it is hard work. Hard work that gets you somewhere. Not slave queening. Right? Not wearing fancy clothes and revealing everything that is beneath your clothes to everybody to see because you are selling it for some old man who has a wife and children to patronize every now and again, have their way with you and throw chicken change at you. Chicken change that you could work with this and make more than that with. And also have the dignity and respect of knowing that it is hard work that got you there. Guys, there's so much knowledge that we need to have. These are conversations we need to have. They might not be comfortable, they're morbid, they're this, they're that, but we ought to have those conversations. We do. Especially if you're in my kind of ages. We do have to have those conversations. So guys, a word to the wise is enough. Think about it. Maybe you're watching me and you're only 25 and you're thinking, what the hell is this woman talking about? I still remember when I was 25. I do. I remember when I was 25. I'll give anything now. Knowing what I know now, I want to go back to 18 and relive my life over. But sadly, I can't. You have something to discuss with your kids today. Yes, you should. You should. Guys, the real enjoyment stage of your life is when you retire. It's true. I have had this conversation with the fella in my life, and I've said to him, in my 50s, I want to be traveling. Like every 6 months, I want to go somewhere else that I haven't seen yet. If I make it to 50, every 6 months, I'm traveling somewhere new. I'm not going to Ghana every time. I don't want to do that. I love you, parents. I will see you as often as I can. I want to see what's out there, man. I want to go to Kenya. I want to go to South Africa. I want to go to Botswana. I want to see and travel the world. I want to. I need to make sure that happens. Right? That is the time for enjoyment, not right now. Yes, work hard. At the end of the month, treat yourself to something. Let your soul feel happy, knowing that I do that every month. I do. Even if it's $20. And it's chicken and chips that my heart is feeling that it needs. I have to satisfy that need. And once I've done that, I feel good within myself. I put something away, no matter how small, for a rainy day. Little drops of water, they say, make a mighty ocean. He who is faithful in little is faithful in much. A lot of you are waiting. Oh, but I only make $2,000 a month. What is putting $50 aside every month going to change? Huh? $600 a year that you would have never had. Do you need to buy everything that you buy all the time? Do you? I haven't bought anything significant to add to my clothing in the last 4 years. The same things. This I've owned for years. It's not torn, it's not tatty, it's not faded. There's nothing wrong. Why do I have to change? Because people are saying, oh, now that you're a public figure, you can't be wearing the same clothes every day. You have to change your clothing to suit who? For who? This is what I have. If you don't want to watch me because I wear the same clothes, you can go. And let those who really want to watch, plain and simple. But I ain't changing my lifestyle to suit you. Because when all is said and done, and I'm 65, and I want to eat fufu and goat meat soup, and I can't afford it, I can't come to your house to eat that. Right? You'll be the same people saying that girl that was on social media bugging all of us and telling us to live better lives, not knowing that she can't even afford anything for him. That is what the same people would say. So do you, man. Do you. Guys, a word to the wise is enough. Make hay whilst the sun shines. Yes. Live life. Yes. Agreed. But also don't forget that not many people die before their time. So if you don't make the right investment in your children, in their education, in your life, how you're going to retire, what you're going to do, you'll be crying like a kid and remembering everything that I have told you that you didn't listen to. It doesn't matter how small. Start today and you'll be amazed at what you've been able to accomplish. And once you've been able to put about a substantial amount, something decent, go and seek knowledge. There are people out there whose job it is to find the right investments for you. The thing with us is that we don't like to spend money acquiring knowledge. That is the problem. There's books, there's stuff out there. Go and gain knowledge. Knowledge is not just about education, formal education in a classroom, guys. There's so much out there. So much out there. Like now that there's technology, there's Amazon, there's Google, there's all kinds of guys. Knock yourself out. Instead of watching all those silly telenovelas that bring you nothing. Spend time improving your own life and broadening this thing. This dies the day you stop learning this thing. I see my parents in their 70s and they're still busy buying books and reading. And I'm like, what are these people? Why? What is all this knowledge for? And that is what they say to me. This dies when you stop feeding it. So if my parents in their 70s are acquiring knowledge, what should I be doing? Think about it, guys. I gotta get to work. I love you so much. I am so happy that I've delivered this message because it's been sitting on me like something. Make hay whilst the sun shines. Enjoy the life. Get out there. Live life. The living life doesn't have to break your back, break the bank account, and leave you penniless and begging for money when you could have secured your future. Even if it's a hat, it is yours. You own that hat. The land that the hat is sat on is yours. Think about it. Think about it. And leave an inheritance for your children one day. That is the way that the people that we emulate and want to be like, that is how they've built their nations. Somebody sacrificed. Come and see the Caucasians leaving, assets for their children's education, educational fund for their grandchildren. We don't even do nothing for ourselves, not to talk of children and then grandchildren. Guys, a word to the wise is enough. I love you so much. You guys are awesome. I love every single one of you. And even those who shared this video, I love you 10 times more. Those who send stars to support this page and keep things going, I love you 10 times more. But I love every single one of you for being here. God bless you, Sister Ruth. I know you would listen later. Have a lovely day. God bless you and take care.